In my line of work in geography, I'm very interested in property. Not because I want to break into real estate or something like that. My interests are in things like property rights, shape, development of a place where property rights are protected or property rights are not protected. So I'm interested in that sort of thing, one of my particular interests. Property itself is just a bizarre, in many ways, kind of a bizarre concept, and it's it's a very abstract concept. Okay, but anyway, the idea of property is this, the idea that you can own something and it is associated with you and is under your control, and you have the ability to convey the property to others. Maybe you want to sell it. Maybe you want to sell it to someone else. And I'm not talking about just land or real estate as property. I'm talking about any type of property, personal property, capital, whatever. So if you want to convey that freely to another person on the market, then it requires very careful records, very careful record keeping, and it also requires a system of law that upholds those systems of recognition of property. So the legal system is absolutely critical. For the most part, a stable government is very critical to the safeguarding of property rights. Anyway, part of that record keeping of property rights in the sense of real estate are maps. And the type of map that can be used as a legal document in a court of law, under English common law as an example, is referred to as a cadastral map. And the cadastral map comes from the term cadaster. A cadaster is a line on a map that portrays property ownership. Cadastral map, thus, is a map of who owns what where. Okay? Property map. Whenever you buy a house or you purchase real estate, you'll be dealing with, if not a map, you'll be dealing with very precise measurements by a surveyor, hopefully. Okay? And the surveyor's job is to get the boundaries as accurate and as precise as possible. Because as, who was it, Benjamin Franklin said, good fences make good neighbors, right? Good boundaries make happy neighbors. You know your boundaries, you're in good shape. It's only when the boundaries are fuzzy and not clear that people tend to get into arguments about property. Well, it's not the only time, but it's one of the problems of property ownership. The cadaster then is a line on a map that portrays property ownership. Cadastral maps are, therefore, they tend to be large-scale maps to show very small areas in a great amount of detail, particularly in an engineering sense, in an architectural sense even. So they are often used as legal documents, and you'll see the term plat map used, and anytime you see the word plat, that refers to a surveyor's large-scale map portraying what exists on the land. Here's an example, and this is a typical type of cadastral map or plat map that you might find hanging on the wall in a county courthouse somewhere in the United States, among the thousands and thousands of county courthouses in the United States. One of the main jobs of the county courthouse is to store records about property, land, and that includes maps of the land and maps that can exist as documents from the past. So this is from Garfield County near Enid, out in west of us here in Stillwater. It's a rural land ownership map. It portrays just a few things. You can see the large numerals 1 through 36. on the map. You see that? So they're in the center part of the section. The section is 1 square mile, 1 mile by 1 mile square, and each one of those in the Township and Range Survey have a number 1 through 36. So they started over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes down to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You only see part of it. You can see the town of Enid. What else can you see from the map? Well, you can see property lines. Those are cadasters. You can see creeks, water courses. Those are essential. You can also see things like farmsteads, just like we did on the topographic map earlier. Large scale map with the shaded little square. That's a farmstead, a house or something. And then you can see names. The names are basically that's the name of the owner of the property. And then the little number is what? Any idea? The acreage, great. The acreage, and so this quarter section of land is 160 acres, more or less. And on here they just put 160. Here's one, it's kind of an L-shaped. It has a 40-acre chunk taken out of the quarter section, so it's 120 acres. You see that? So Henry Davis has that 120-acre section, or 120-acre parcel. These are parcels of land. These are this is a fairly old map. The property boundaries, cadasters, the parcels had not been subdivided very much. So what you're looking at is a map of property on the eastern side of Enid, Oklahoma, probably not too many years after the land run that opened up this area, and that would have been in 1893. So my guess is that this map was probably produced around 1900, something like that. If you look around, suburban America, anywhere, this happens to be from a subdivision, a residential subdivision in Bixby, Oklahoma, south of Tulsa, and this is another type of plat that you'll run into. And to identify where this is, you've got a locator map up here of the particular mile section. It looks like section 33, if I'm not misreading it. And you can see it's the northwest quarter of section 33. It's actually just a little bit more than the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 33 or 23 or whatever it is. So this is a really small area. It's only about, 50 acres, something like that, you might guess. This little residential subdivision of about 50 acres can get probably maybe 100 and some houses in there. Maybe more than that. Can't count them real quick. And you can see larger numbers. What do you suppose those are numbers for? Well, this is what I'm calling an urban subdivision plat. It's a type of cadastral map. It's used to identify urban real estate. Of course, the urban real estate containing houses is even more valuable than, say, the rural land, for the most part, that may be a cattle pasture or something. Because of the development, because of the, it's about time to go. Because of the house on it, you're going to have much higher land values. So it's very important to get those boundaries exact, okay? We can probably wind up with this map. I think we will. This map is our transition to the thematic maps. And this is actually kind of a thematic map. It is actually one of the world's most famous thematic maps. Even though it looks like a cadastral map, it's at the scale of one of those cadastral maps. And if you've never heard of it, it's the map of the London cholera outbreak that was solved by Dr. John Snow. Okay, a physician, not a geographer, certainly not a professor, but he was a physician in the days before they understood that cholera was caused by tainted water. You get cholera by ingesting, amoeba or something, and it causes diarrhea, and people die from it. And in the old days, they certainly did. And this was a map of mortality by residential address in a part of London in the 1850s, 1854. John Snow, because of a map, whittled down the causes of the cholera outbreak to a water supply. He said, the people who are dying from this are all getting their water from this water pump on Broad Street. As you go away from that water pump, people don't die of cholera. They haven't been dying of cholera for the last few weeks. So what they did was they put a lock on that water pump, and the cholera outbreak stopped. And that's how they learned that it was water that caused cholera. Anyway, thematic maps can often be really, really important. And I'll conclude it with that, and I hope to see you on Thursday. Is it Thursday already tomorrow? Okay.